Okay, last presentation for today. Short one. I want to speak about the documentation on WIS that is available, and also maybe later some implementation guidance. Even though I think this part of the presentation I will skip for tomorrow morning. And to provide guidance on software. Now, you have heard about these technical regulations in WMO. So how is the WIS reflected in this? Now, let me put this into context here. Maybe this is all very dry and boring. It's the kind of work that happens in WMO. You need to specify things. They need to be approved and signed and so on. So I'm just now telling you so that you know where the authoritative information is. And so the question is, how does the WIS fit into the WMO technical regulations? And here I will answer how it fits in. This might be dry, but that's the way it sometimes is. I'll try to make it as interesting as possible. So to introduce the WMO information system officially into WMO, it was necessary to amend the technical regulations of WMO. The technical regulations are determined by Congress, as you know, and as specified in Article 8D of the convention, which is the founding document of WMO. So it is the Congress who approves the technical regulations. So the technical regulations are published as WMO publication number 49, and 49 is presented in 4 volumes. Volume 1, General Meteorological Standards and Recommended Practices. Volume number 2, Meteorological Service for International Air Navigation. Volume number 3, Hydrology. And volume number 4, Quality Management. Now, the volume number 49, volume 1, section A concerns the World Weather Watch program, and it has 3 subsections. Are you still with me? So A1 is the Global Observing System, A2 is the Global Data Processing System, and A3 is the Global Telecommunication System. So now the WMO Congress has officially instituted WIS by amending the subsection A3 of the WMO technical regulations. So that is the Global Telecommunication System section. You know that the 4 volumes of the WMO technical regulations are supplemented by annexes that have the same status as the technical regulations themselves. And these annexes are called manuals, and the manual on the DTS, the WMO number 386, is an example of that. So you all know the manual on the DTS. Now the amended section A3 will reference a new annex, which is the manual on WIS. And that new manual will reference a guide, the guide to WIS in turn. So we have 3 documents that are associated with making WIS official. First, the amendment to the technical regulations, the number 49, volume 1, section A3. This is a rather short document, only 2 pages long, even though it is shorter than the one it replaced. How was it introduced into the WMO system? The amendment was first approved by CBS and subsequently by Congress. The WMO procedures require it to be translated in all 6 WMO languages. So even though it's not really necessary for you, but you could even read it in Arabic. The next is a new publication, which is referenced by the earlier amendment, the manual on WIS, so annexed to the amended technical regulations. This manual on WIS has been designated in the publication series as a WMO number 1060, and also the WMO procedures require that it be translated into all 6 official languages, and also to be approved by Congress. Last, we have another new publication, which is the Guide to WIS, and also it has a publication number, so designated in the publication series as WMO number 1061. This document is approved by CBS only, and it will also only be available in French and English. The text of these 2 publications is almost entirely a cut and paste of already approved other official documents, such as those that were produced during the specification of WIS by the different expert teams. So now this is a detail of how this amendment looks like. I have also some text on this, but I'll just show it on screen. So that now we can come to the new manual on WIS, the publication number 1060. You will find a hyperlink in my presentation so that you can download this to your local PCs. It is of course also referenced from the WIS web pages. The manual on WIS complements the manual on the GTS, which remains in effect, as you know. What will happen in the future is that the manual on WIS will update most of the manual on the GTS, and will also be harmonized with other various WIS-related programs. However, the final reorganization of technical documents is affected by other initiatives, such as the WIGOS, for example, and the GFCS. Now, you know that the manual on the GTS is the annex number 2 to the tech recs, or maybe you don't know that, but now you know it. In the same way, the manual on WIS is an annex to the also to the WMO technical regulations, and in that case, it is the annex number 7. The manuals contain this standard and recommended practice language, which is distinguished by the use of the verb shall and should, as I said earlier already. It is an important distinction explained in the introduction to the technical regulations. So WMO members are bound by the convention to do their utmost to implement the standard practices and procedures. Members must formally notify the Secretary General in writing of their intention to apply the standard practices and procedures. Members must also inform the Secretary General at least 3 months in advance of any change in the degree of their implementation of a standard practice or procedure. In contrast to standard practices and procedures, it is desirable that WMO members follow or implement recommended practices and procedures. But Article 9b of the Convention does not apply to these. Although members are urged to comply with recommended practices and procedures, it is not necessary to notify the Secretary General of their non-observance. So initially, the manual on WIS is somehow a skeleton document. This to say that some sections are complete, but others are just placeholders. The manual is on WIS is focused on the WIS Part B, so the new functionality, which are those WIS functions that extend the current functionality of the current GTS. So as I said earlier, this process of creating official documents for WIS does not intentionally make any material changes to what has already been agreed about WIS. The text that was introduced was a copy and paste job of already approved text in other official documents. So for example, for the manual on WIS, the main sources were the WIS Center designation procedure, which I will talk about next, the WIS required functions and the WIS compliance specifications, as well as other relevant documentation. Next slide. Here you see some of the documents that were copied and pasted from to create the manual on WIS. Now, what about the guide to WIS, the WMO number 1061? Just in the same way as other WMO guides, the guide to WIS will not have the status of a technical regulation. If I can quote again from the introduction to the technical regulations, the WMO guides describe practices, procedures, and specifications which members are invited to follow or implement in establishing and conducting the arrangements in compliance with the technical regulations and in developing meteorological and hydrological service in their respective countries. You see on screen, I have listed the main sources of material found in the current guide to WIS, which is the WIS Center Candidate Questionnaire Guidance, the WIS Functional Diagrams, the WIS Compliance Additional Notes. I recall to you that CBS approves the guide to WIS, so it is easier to update than the manual on WIS. If desired, text could be injected into the guide to WIS from various other program documents or from existing GTS guides, like the ones that are listed on the screen. Now there's other WIS documentation that doesn't have any official status, but that nevertheless describes important procedures, such as, for example, the WMO core metadata profile guidance documentation, or the OAI PMH guidelines for WIS catalog synchronization between disks, and others. This slide is somewhat out of date. for the last CBS has changed the organizational framework. But you should know that the way the WIS is governed is by various expert teams, as I said in the beginning. So you see here at the bottom expert teams, such as, for example, the expert team on communication techniques and services. I should know, it's the one I work with most. So they are organized to come under OPAC. So here's the OPAC ISS. And then they are part of a commission, which is a CBS, so the Commission for Basic Systems. And these are then again supervised by the Executive Council. So that is how does this look like in daily life? These expert teams meet more or less regularly, normally every 2 years, sometimes every year. They make a report that is in turn endorsed by the OPAC and then by the Commission and finally by the Executive Council. So this is the way by which we arrive at this very wordy and nicely conventions that I have quoted from. So just to make sure everything is in order. Let me now please come to the process for nominating candidate WMO information system centers. So this is important to you because the Marine Center DCPC needs to be designated and then endorsed, and for this there is a process that has been put in place that makes sure that those centers that have been designated can also fulfill these technical specifications duly and appropriately. I recall that there's these 3 types of centers, and for 2 of them, the JISCs and DCPCs, a demonstration process has been put in place. They need to be endorsed. For the NCs, this is not the case because basically it is part of the technical regulations of WMO that at least one national center shall be in each country, and that the necessary functionality has to be implemented. Now, as you know, this is not very complicated. It basically involves creating metadata. So what about now the JISCs and DCPCs? You have heard maybe in an earlier presentation that there are 15 candidate JISCs and more than 100 candidate DCPCs. You may also know that the final number of designated WIS centers will well be above 300, and that to be officially designated as a WIS center, you're required to demonstrate the capability to implement the WIS compliance specifications. There is a defined process to gain endorsement by the involved WMO expert teams, and then to be formally approved by the Commission for Basic Systems and Congress or EC. This process is subject and focus of this presentation. So the manual on WIS, paragraph 342, states that each WMO member shall notify WMO of the current name and location of each of its centers to be designated as a national center. So this is about the designation procedure for a national center. As I said already, NMHSs will become NCs automatically. WMO members notify the Secretary General of their current centers to be designated as national centers. Each national center shall have a corresponding disk, and the only new requirement established by the manual on WIS is to provide metadata. The designation procedure for a DCPC or a disk is different. For DCPCs and disks are designated by Congress or Executive Council on recommendation of the Commission for Basic Systems. Candidate centers are invited to demonstrate to the Commission for Basic Systems their capabilities to provide WIS services. Now here, very importantly, CBS delegates the assessment of the center's capabilities to the ad hoc expert team on disk DCPC demonstration process, ETGDDP. WIS center candidates with qualified endorsement by the ETGDDP have to demonstrate WIS function during CBS sessions in order to obtain full endorsement. WIS center candidates having full endorsement by the ETGDDP on functions defined by the ETGDDP do not have to demonstrate capabilities during CBS sessions. So what does this mean? If the expert team has successfully endorsed you, then CBS will waive and not require a physical proof of your capabilities. On the other hand, if for some reason you didn't pass the audit, you can still demonstrate directly to CBS, even though then they will probably ask why the audit was not successful with the expert team. I should also say that there has been some change in the names of the expert teams at the last CBS. However, the process I'm here describing is still the same. So there might just be some name changes. So how does this demonstration process work? The demonstration process is designed with 3 phases. The first phase, submission of technical paper plus evidence, where the WMO member will provide ETGDDP with information on their capabilities to offer disk or DCPC functions using the online questionnaire tool, which is available at from the WMO website, the WIS section. A second phase, assessment, validation, and audit, where ETGDDP will assess the information received, if needed, ask for clarification, and then help the members in providing the relevant documentation, run tests, and audit DCPC candidates. The third phase, findings and arrange demonstration to CBS, where the ETGDDP concludes the assessment. WMO members endorsed by ETGDDP with qualifications will have to demonstrate to CBS functions that have not been endorsed by ETGDDP. So the first phase of the demonstration procedure, as I said, is the submission of technical paper plus evidence. In this phase, a WMO member fills out the online questionnaire using the tool that is provided from the website, and conduct the necessary demonstration tests. Responses to the questionnaire should contain sufficient information and detail, including results of the demonstration tests, to ensure that the ETGDDP can make a full assessment. Yep. So, the second phase of the demonstration procedure is the assessment, validation, and audit. In this phase, the ETGDDP will assess the responses submitted by the member, and feedback will be provided to help complete the documentation. We should note that the role of the ETGDDP is does not extend to providing advice on technical solutions. So this is the role that rather maybe the Secretariat can fulfill. We provide you help, for example, with the Jumpstart offer or workshops, and then it is the job of the expert team on the process, the demonstration process, to audit the proposed candidate center. In the case of a JISC assessment, the candidate center assessment will include a site visit by the ETGDDP on the ground. In the case of a DCPC, the assessment is done remotely. Then the third phase of the demonstration procedure is the demonstration to a CBS session. In this phase, a WIS center, a candidate WIS center with qualified endorsement has to demonstrate WIS functions during the CBS sessions in order to obtain a full endorsement. Remember, slide. No, I'm just repeating what was said earlier. Where was I? Yeah. With the qualified endorsement, need to demonstrate full WIS functions compliance during a CBS session. However, if the ETGDDP has provided a full endorsement, then the demonstration is not necessary. Good. Yes, we have all this documentation and regulation in place to make sure that everything works smoothly. Yet, sometimes we find out things still don't work smoothly, but we are working hard. Now, how does it work? In practice, the first step is to online fill out the questionnaire and to run the demonstration tests. I will now go to the WIS website and show you how you can get to the questionnaire. Oh. Here we have the circular letters and questionnaires, which can be reached from the WIS website, and there's the WIS Centers database, and I'm already registered as an editor. If you weren't, then you could request registration here, and then I can select my country. In this case, I'll search for Qatar, which is here. And here we have DCPC Doha, so it is already registered. And here you see the questionnaire now. And what is nice here is that here there are the functional requirements. As you see, there are 9 of them, and you can fill them out with the information on how it is that you implemented this functionality. Once you're through, you can set the questionnaire status here to ETGDDP ETGDDP comments requested, ready for final review, or complete and locked. So depending on what kind of feedback you would like to receive from the ETGDDP. I think you're here what concerns the Marine Center already well acquainted with how this works. Should there be other DCPCs, maybe in Bahrain or Kuwait? I have given the instructions what needs to be done to register such a center and how to successfully navigate through the regulations and technical documentation so that it can be officially designated DCPC center. And with this, I would like to finish for today. Maybe there are some questions. Yes. Finish. Yes, so after this rather informative presentation, we can now conclude, and thank you very much. See you tomorrow.